Boom, and I just hit the start button. Hopefully this is working. And then, boom, here we go. YouTube's going to catch right up. All right, guys. Hopefully you all are starting to see this. Looks like we're in 7 seconds. So the transition from not streaming to streaming on YouTube is very abrupt, and it's not very obvious when that transition happens. So bear with me. Hopefully you guys are hearing this. If some of you that are coming in right now can go ahead and let me know that the sound is okay and the picture is okay, that you can actually see me, that would be really helpful. Cool. So this should be a pretty fun little live stream, kind of on the quicker side of things. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Big B, confirming it's all good. What's up, Eric? Yeah, ND filter. Whew. Cool. Sound is a little low. Okay. Everyone else is saying sound's okay. Sound needs to be a tad louder. Let me see if I can turn that up just a tad right here. It's up at full blast. Make sure we're plugged in. Cool, bear with me, guys. Excellent. If you guys can go ahead and like this, click that like button. It'll put us a little higher in the queue and get us a few more viewers, and that'll super help out. So thanks for checking in, guys. I appreciate it. My computer's down below. My camera's up high, so if I'm looking down, it's because I'm going to try and check out your comments here and there. So first up, I want to give everyone a quick heads up. I'm partnering in a podcast with Jenson USA. Seth Kendall, their content specialist, and I are putting this thing together. So it's called Kendall vs. Kendall, hence Seth Kendall, Jeff Kendall-Weed, 2 Kendalls, might as well. Seth's been working at Jenson for many years, has a really good retailer perspective on the industry. I've been working on supplier side for over a decade now, so I've got a slightly different perspective of the industry. So check out our podcast. I have 3 links below. The first one's to SoundCloud, which is probably the easiest way to just click over and check out the podcast. And then we've got iTunes, easy to subscribe to, and Google Play, depending on which preference of yours is you want to hit. Check all those 3 out. The podcast is kind of interesting. We just did 2 episodes based around what we call wheel wars. So we've had, I don't know how many new wheel standards popping into the industry between 26, 27.5, 29, 26 plus, 27.5 plus, road plus, 29 plus, fat bikes. There's a ton of new stuff. So check that out. The most recent episode, episode 3, which is part 2 of Wheel Wars, I'm talking about some of the incidental things that have come into our industry thanks to the new wheel sizes. It's not just cut and dry wheel sizes. There's a lot more to the whole story than that. So check out that podcast. Let me know if you like it, and drop me a comment below and what you want to hear on the next podcast. That would be awesome. Thanks, Viet. Thanks, Austin. You guys like the Jenson hat. I appreciate it. Cool. So real quick, let's run through a little bit of a mail time thing. I got some really cool stuff that showed up lately. First up, Camelback, a big sponsor of mine. I love those dudes. They hooked it up with some really cool thermoses that use a magnet to keep the lid out of your face so you can guzzle your water on the airplane. All good. Stoked on this thermos. I put my tea in it. It's rad. Thank you, Camelback. The other thing Camelback sent, which I wasn't expecting, and I'm really stoked on, but my little girl Evelina is even more stoked on it, these kids' water bottles. Woo! These are awesome. When you're a dad and you get some water bottles in the mail, you are stoked. So Evelina is yelling, "Bottle!" from afar. I love it. A bunch of my friends with kids have got these too, thanks to the shipment from Camelback, so stoked on that. Thanks, guys. One other really cool thing that showed up from a long ways away, international mailing, is something I'm going to use in my van build, which is still very much in progress. And with this injury I've got right now, I'm going to put some more time into the van. And I'm also going to use these in my garage build. I've been trying to push the garage build as much as I can, but it's slow progress. So I got these really cool helmet hooks from a dude named Tim, runs a company called Helmeter. Should keep the helmets well in place. And with a kid running around the garage, I need to make sure the helmets aren't getting knocked off constantly, and we've got tons of helmets, so he sent a lot of these. So stay tuned for the build out videos on both those. I'll show you the helmeters in action. I got a couple other really cool things that showed up I want to show you I'm real excited about. I got this Kitspo cycling cap. Now, I'm more of a mountain biker, and I don't really wear cycling caps, so I think this rad Kitspo cap is going to be perfect for a giveaway on Instagram, so stay tuned for that. Let's see. Lane's asking about the injury. Stay tuned. We'll bring up some of that in a little bit. Elliot, thank you. My selfie game, I'm struggling. It's hard to take selfies, especially if, yeah, I'm not used to being in front of the camera like that. So, let's see. Yeah, Shane, 10 years, same Camelback. Well, good news. They've actually got way better over the last decade, and the current Camelbacks are the best they've ever been. I've been a Camelback athlete for only like a year now, and I've seen the product go through several leaps in the past 12 months alone. So the newer stuff, it's awesome. I'll do a what's in my backpack video soon. Stay tuned. Cool. Let's see what else we got here. Sticking with the Kitspo theme, I'm wearing a Radiator shirt, super comfortable on a hot day like what we've got here in Bellingham in proper late June. This is summertime, so this is a Radiator shirt, not too hot, not too cool, great all-around riding jersey. There's a new setup on the Radiator. It's a little bit lighter weight fabric, which is nice. It breathes a tad better. And there's this really cool colorway. I think they're calling it mustard. So they got this rad yellow Radiator. Got one of these in the mail. Stoked on that. And I also got the best summertime shirt ever. It's called the Delta Tee. I rocked this in the Escape to Hurricane video in a different color, but these things are frigidly cold. They use a very special type of Polar Tech material that just really keep your core temperature down super low. So I'm stoked that that's here. They sent me a pair of adjustable shorts in case we ate too many gallas or tacos down in Costa Rica. Thank you, Kitspo. Appreciate the adjustable shorts. They also sent, in case it got hot in Costa Rica, some ventilated shorts. Awesome. So that was super cool. Also on the mail time, I was filming my I Want to Change Mountain Biking video a few weeks ago, and I'm like watching my time frame run out. I'm kind of running out of time to do my video. Babysitter's got to go to class. I'm freaking out a little bit, trying to get one of the last shots, and dude rides by, which is totally normal, and he stops to chat, and I'm like, cool, I want to say hey, but I'm like, oh, I got to get this thing done. And he was super nice, and he's like, hey, I've got a t-shirt company. I want to send you something. Super cool dude. So he sent this rad, it's called Balance Lifestyle Company, Balance Lifestyle Clothing. Sent this awesome Galbraith t-shirt. Check this thing out. Way sweet. I can't hold it up that high because part of my injury, so that Galbraith shirt is rad. I'm pumped on that. The other one is super cool, lifestyle-y, kind of trippy, kind of stony. I like it. That's rad. So, thanks, Sterl. I appreciate that. Eric, those are awesome shirts. Thank you. That's awesome. Let's see. Toss those down. I hear you, Vincent. Quality's not cheap. Cool. So I got a couple good Q&A questions lately. We'll run through a couple of those real fast before we get into the injury stuff. I just saw a good question come in. Flying Tiger, the nose manuals are tough. I want to learn them better, but practice makes perfect. The longer stems help with the nose wheelies, and the newer bikes use shorter stems, thus making it harder to do the nose wheelies. I'm curious to try a shorter offset fork. I think that would make it easier as well. So, at some point here. Matthew, I wish it was just a classic separated shoulder. I did that on this side 20 years ago. So, I got something different going on. Dan, awesome. Galbraith shirt. It's sweet. I can't wait to wear that to the gym and stuff. Cool. Got a couple more cruising in. Nice. So, first Q&A question I want to run through. In the Air 10 writes, Jeff, it's safe to say that In the Air 10 writes, Jeff, is it safe to say that the Ritmo is overkill for the relatively flat trails here in Minnesota? We have just as many short ups as short downs. I'm leaning towards the Mojo 3, but wonder if I should wait for my LBS to get a Ritmo demo in before I pull the trigger. We have lots of slow tech to make up for DH fun. Honestly, I think the Ritmo would be a really good choice for the slow tech stuff. That bike gets up steep ledgy stuff like none other. I'm really happy with the Ritmo. It does use a 36 fork, so even if your trails are flatter, as long as they're super technical, I think the Ritmo would be rad. On the really tech stuff, when you're just popping around a lot, doing power maneuvers, you do need a really stiff, stout bike to stay up beneath you and not send you offline. Ripmo's great for that. Now, if the trails aren't technical enough to require that stiffness of the 36 fork, then the 34 fork chassis of the Mojo 3 might be a better setup. I like the Mojo 3 in spring and fall here in Bellingham when it's like the easiest possible conditions, because honestly, in that point, the trails don't really require the Ripmo. The Ripmo almost makes them too easy. When it's dusty and fast in summertime and when it's super gnarly wet in the winter, that's when I really like the Ripmo here because it makes up for how gnarly everything is. It keeps it nice and safe. But then when things are Goldilocks conditions, tacky dirt, not too slippery, not too dusty, then the Mojo 3 makes up for that lack of challenge. So that's how I look at it. Let's see here. Doug, great question. I eat a lot of avocados and coconut oil just because it's a lot of really good fuel right there, and lack of sugar, it keeps you from getting too chubby and fat. I'm not fully paleo or anything, but I try to pay attention to paleo diets when I'm trying to figure out what to eat before rides and such, and it's helped a ton. Helped big time. I call it a clogger, but a burrito made out of a tortilla full of avocado. That's a great ride snack. Throw some prosciutto in there. Ah, that's amazing. So, a second Q&A question. EviCB4, I hope I pronounced that right, asks, do you race? You're crazy fast. I bet you'd clean up. So, I did race for over 20 years, and I basically retired at the end of 2016. I promised my family if I focused on videos that I would give up the racing. The racing requires so much training that you just can't do both. All the video stuff, which takes just as much effort as the race stuff, if not more. You can't do the two at once. It's just too much, especially with a family, a kid. It's too much. So I focused on just videos. When I was racing, I did well. I very rarely won anything, but I often made it on the podium or did what I thought was pretty decent. And the enduro scene changed since when I started. The first real enduros on the West Coast were like 2012 or so, and then I raced through 2016 enduro. I did downhill racing for years and years before that. I really liked downhill and I loved enduro. I did well. I was competitive in the pro class, did really well at the Oregon Enduro Series, but honestly, I love doing the video thing. I'm able to be more creative, so I'm focusing on that route. And I did well in racing, but I was rarely ever the fastest guy, and that's fine. I didn't have much power. When I'm sprinting, I can do okay for a little bit, but I don't have that kind of wattage that you really need to do, like, to be that, like, very, very top echelon. So my best EWS stage finish was like in the 20s, might have been like a 28th or 29th, something like that. And at an EWS, I was stoked if I was in the 20s or 30s on a stage, and something in the 50s was pretty attainable. So I'm happy with those kind of results. On the West Coast races, I would usually be podium contention, and then my last year, I broke my pelvis in early 2016, so that season was not the best, but still did okay. Videos are super fun. I really like them, so I'm kind of going that route. And then, Austin, style is important in videos, so it's all good. And when you're racing, there's actually people there cheering you on occasion, and it's such a rush when you hit a section differently than everybody else. Like, one that comes to mind, China Peak, there's a rock garden at the bottom of one of my favorite stages. They actually had a speed trap in that in 2016, and Lopes and I tied for fastest speed in the rock garden at like 25 miles an hour. I found a line through that rock garden where you kind of wall ride above the rocks, and it's on the course. There's no course tape on the rock wall next to you. And it's not faster, it's probably a significantly amount slower, but it's kind of cool. You wall right up and then you gap down into the sketchy corner. It looks neat. It's not faster, it's way sketchy, but the crowd would go nuts and stuff like that, and that's really fun. I miss that. With videos, you do have a bigger crowd. They're just not there when you're making it, so. But it's fun doing stuff like that gets other folks excited and inspired. Last Q&A question. Non-Clementi writes, you have one of the greatest and most unique and most fun to watch riding styles. Thanks. Now I'm curious how you would interpret some World Cup VH and EWS tracks, especially that last EWS of France. I know you are capable of riding them, more of showing us your own style on them. Like how you manualed and gapped some of the trail features here. So he commented on the gnarliest trail in Washington. So yeah, I'd probably play around a ton on all that. I'd definitely be able to ride it. And I think a lot of the guys that are top-level racers would play around similarly if it were not a race scenario. a lot of those guys are very playful on their bikes, but when it's race time, they know how to focus on what's fastest. So I'm sure I'd find lots of fun gaps and stuff, and I could probably make a really fun video on it. Probably a lot of other folks could too. It's just a whole different attitude between racing and making a fun video. So depends what's going on. I like them both, to be honest. Cool. Oh man, Deep Worker just sent the biggest super chat I've ever seen. Thank you. That's awesome. That's rad. Thank you. I appreciate the props, man. Cool. Well, running on to the to the quick injury update. So last week we were down in Costa Rica making a really cool video. It'll be coming out soon. Stay tuned. I had a crash. I'm gonna be okay, but I'm gonna be off the bike for a little short stint here. So you'll have to watch the video to see what happened. You'll have to watch the video to kind of see how we dealt with it down there. I did end up with some sweet stitches in my hand, a few more stitches in my arm, and we're still waiting on, I haven't actually seen the films from the x-rays yesterday, and we did an ultrasound this morning. It appears that rotator cuff is not torn, thank goodness. Now it does look like the acromion, the end of the shoulder here, is fractured. Now the reading we got was really vague, extremely vague. It was like a possible, the words that they used were just very non-committal. So yeah, I really want to see that film and bounce it off a few of my friends that are orthopedic surgeons and see what they say, but at this point, it seems like we don't need to do surgery, and from what I've been Googling and reading, it seems like as long as I take it really easy, it's probably going to heal up pretty quickly. So bones should heal fairly fast. I'm going to give it about 4 weeks until I'm riding again, and maybe 5 or 6 weeks until I'm actually able to film again. I'm not sure. Maybe Matthew can give us a heads up on how long it took him to recover from that. And until I see the films, I won't exactly know, but we'll see. So I'm spinning on my trainer bike twice a day to keep my blood flow going. I'm trying to eat very healthy. And I'll do a few videos on how I kind of deal with bouncing back from injuries. I've broken several, I should probably say many, bones over the years here. And usually recoveries are pretty fast with using the spin bike a couple times a day and with doing the right kind of vitamins and supplements, that sort of thing. So if any of you have broken your acromion, please give me a heads up on how long it took to recover. I'll be using a sling a little bit here and there, but okay, Matthew is full strength within 6 to 8 weeks. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I'm going full bore with the recovery here, so hopefully it's nice and quick. We'll see, we'll see. I'm not super old. I'm also not crazy young anymore, so things should heal fairly quickly. I have a minor AC ligament separation, but it's nothing to write home about. I separated my right shoulder, you can probably see that, 20 years ago, my BMX bike. 20 years ago? Like 15 years ago, my BMX bike. And I remember this thing healed up really fast back then. So the main thing we're working with is the broken bone. The mild separation, it's really no big deal. So it'll have a slight step to it, but no big deal. I think the acromium's a bigger problem than the AC ligament. Oh man, 200 deuce just got slammed. Broken clavicle and 2 ribs. Yikes! Glad mine wasn't that bad. Thank goodness. I did break my Interceptor helmet, and I should have grabbed my Interceptor helmet for this. That helmet's awesome. My head hit the ground at like 25 miles an hour, and no concussion. I didn't even see stars. I didn't hear any concussion sounds. The head was great. The Interceptor helmet worked awesome. That thing was phenomenal. So I do see how it crunched the foam inside, and I really thought that was going to be a concussion for sure with that much impact. I did get a bunch of stitches, 5 stitches in this elbow right here, and I got my pelvis that broke 2 years ago, slammed into the ground super hard, turned purple, but it's not broken. It just hurt a lot. So I did not re-break my pelvis, thank goodness. And I was using the lower cost Cali safety gear, the Mission knee pads, and no problems with my knee whatsoever. So Mission knee pads, thumbs up. Those things work just fine. The price is really affordable. Interceptor helmet, that was rad. That was super, super rad. I think the Maya, it could have been a concussion. It was that close. I put my head in the Maya, and it works fine, but the Interceptor definitely has some more tech in there. Cool. A couple more comments coming in here. Um, just riding trails is getting better. Good to hear that. Stoked for you. Yeah, Dan, Michaela had a terrible crash. I want to send her a get well note pretty soon here. I was waiting to actually give my sponsors a heads up on the severity of what I'm working with before I started talking to too many folks. So Michaela, I'm going to send her a little note here in a few minutes. I hope she heals up. There's nothing scarier than getting surgery in a foreign country. And years ago, I had a compound fracture of my ring finger in a European country, and I had to get surgery over there. Hadn't spoken English to anyone, just got wheeled right in, and finger works great now. Thank goodness. What else? Whoever, got a couple more comments here. Thanks, Matthew. Dan took 8 weeks to get back from his acromion. Oh, hopefully this isn't that long. We'll see. And then, thanks, Flying Tiger. I appreciate it. Cool. Well, it's dinner time here at the Kendall-Weed household, so I got to go make the family some dinner. Thank you all for checking out the live stream. Check out that podcast. Link is right below. Listen to the SoundCloud one if you just want to check it out real quick. Podcasts they're good to listen to when you're doing something. Driving is great, mowing the lawn, in the gym working out, working on your bike. You can't just sit there and listen to a podcast. You have to be doing something else. So if you haven't listened to podcasts before, check it out. Download it to your phone. Listen to it when you're mowing the grass, when you're pedaling up an hour-long fire road climb, when you're lifting weights at the gym. I will be listening to a lot of podcasts while I'm on the spin bike over the next couple of weeks here. Cool, guys. Shane, yes, hit that like button. I appreciate it. Right on, guys. Thank you so much for all the support. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the trail. Cheers.